Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ed Up Experience Podcast President Series. I am your host this morning, Dr. Jody Blinko, and we have with us Dr. Glynis Fitzgerald, President of Alvernia University, Reading, Pennsylvania. Welcome.
Thank you, Jody.
Pleasure to have you here. So tell us a little bit more for those of us that aren't familiar with Alvernia University. You're in Reading, Pennsylvania, but tell us more about you. What would you like for us to know?
At Alucian Live 2025, we're going to explore the magic of innovation. We want to imagine, believe, and achieve. It's happening April 6th through 9th, 2025 in Orlando, Florida, and we're going to explore technology, modernization, and
artificial intelligence.
Explore the latest technology solutions, discover industry insights, and make valuable connections as a global community. It's time to register for Alucian Live 2025 at elive.alucian.com.
We're excited to announce the first of its kind higher education podcast conference, brought to you by Edu Alliance, the Ed Up Experience, and Podium. This is happening Saturday, July 12th at the University of Illinois Chicago campus. This is an in-person event, one day only, the first of its kind. This is for people working in and around higher education who are interested in starting a podcast, who may have a podcast, want to learn more about podcasting. So if you want to be there, please go to higheredpodcon.com. That's higheredpodcon.com to learn how you can get your early bird registration, see who the keynote will be, and how you can submit proposals to be a part of this amazing inaugural conference. So that, again, go to higheredpodcon.com to learn more. Do you want to get invites to special events? Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes episodes, and original content? Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Well, you can go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and become a subscriber today.
Oh, terrific, Jody. Thanks very much for the opportunity to talk with you. Alvernia is a growing regional comprehensive independent university in Reading, Pennsylvania, that we have been expanding in the last several years into downtown Reading. We had been previously up in a sort of bucolic location on a hill. We've come down into the city, and we also have a campus in Pottsville. And we have students joining us from Philadelphia as well, through a relationship we have with a church in Philadelphia. So we are mission-driven, religiously affiliated Bernardine Franciscan sisters are our foundresses, and we try to carry out their mission every day. Coming up on 3,000 students, so a really nice combination of an undergraduate traditional college experience, as well as really meeting our students actually where they are in the cities that we serve. So a lot of colleges will say that they reach everybody where they are. We literally are going to where our students are and offering our programs that way.
I love that. And you read my mind with that last piece that you just started to share about, we hear that often. We meet our students where they are. And I think sometimes there's obviously always very good and pure intention with that. But tell us more. You mentioned the expanding out, like physically, location-wise, going into the city. Tell us more about how you bring the expansion and what you just shared, meeting the students where they are physically, but also what does the spirit of that look like with the mission-driven of, we need to not only meet the student where they are location-wise, but meeting them where they are so that they can be successful.
So Alvernia has had a really long tradition with service. So since we founded in 1958, the communities have always counted on us to clean up the schools before the beginning of the semester. Today is Martin Luther King Day of Service. We're going into the communities and bringing our students to have those service-related experiences. So our community has always trusted us to be there for service. What we came to find out in the last few years, really through the pandemic, is that in order to truly meet the community's needs, we have to do more than just come in and clean up a park. We really need to bring education, make it more accessible. And so we've had a number of conversations beginning in 2019, really to identify what our cities need, what they want us to be for them. And so we've expanded that. So one of those conversations was around having accessible higher education in the city of Reading. So as I mentioned, our main campus is about a 7-minute, 10-minute commute from the campus in the city, but it feels like a world away. And for city residents to make that distance just was not going to be possible. So we took a building that was in downtown Reading, largely in disrepair, and renovated it. Worked together with the city, worked together with the Commonwealth. We were able to do it first off a $20 million project. And now we've done so far 40. It'll be ultimately a $60 million project to revitalize this 260,000 square foot building with academic space, bringing students into the community. We know that when our students are in the community, they're also spending money. And so it lends itself really nicely to economic development for Reading as well. So we've made that commitment to the city, and now Pottsville asked us to do the same thing. So
really,
took an old grocery store in Pottsville, revitalize that, and have our students taking classes right there at that campus as well.
Yeah.
So truly going where the students are, having a walkable, both academic opportunity, but also job opportunity. So we're seeing people from the cities come and work in our buildings, use our buildings for community programs, meetings, et cetera. So really being that integral relationship with the cities that we're in as well.
Yeah. So the community's obviously seeing the revitalization of these buildings. They know it's Alvernia University. You know, it's as it's going through this renovation. Once it's been renovated and it's there, and you know, it's nowadays you can't necessarily just open the doors and people flood in. Although, you know, sometimes that happens, but you know, how have you all taken steps to further, you talked about opening up the space and offering it to the community, providing jobs. What are other ways that you very intentionally continue to embed in these spaces that you've expanded into? Is there anything extra, or is it just we're here, we're known as a service member of the community, and because of that reputation, it's just worked?
Both, I think, truly. So when we looked at it, we wanted to ensure that the programs we were putting into those buildings were programs that were needed by those communities.
Okay.
And so we were very deliberate about adding to nursing. There's a nursing shortage in Pennsylvania as well as throughout the world, I'm sure. Yeah. And so we put nursing, and we expanded nursing from about 10,000 square feet in the main campus to now 55,000 square feet of teaching space. And that allows us to add to our enrollment in those programs. So students that want to be a nurse now have access to that, both in Reading as well as in Pottsville. So it really is a combination of having this wonderful relationship we've had for years, and meeting the needs of the community. Engineering is another really good example. So when we did these listening tours early in 2019, one thing that came up a lot is that Reading has a number of engineering positions that go unfilled. People might not want to necessarily to Reading, what have you. And so we wanted to homegrown a talent for the engineering jobs here in Berks County. And so we designed those programs together with the businesses. So we were really intentional about forming alliances with the business community. And so they funded all of our labs. And someone might ask, you know, what's a small liberal arts based Catholic institution doing starting engineering? But there was a need. We saw the need. We knew about the need from our relationships in the community. And then those community partners have been integral in helping us start those programs.
Absolutely.
Funding the labs, helping us staff faculty lines, really working very hand in glove with the community. And those partnerships have really sustained us through the pandemic and then allowed us to grow out of the pandemic. So I would say really the long history that we have in combination with having programs that are really needed by the community. And
Yeah.
we have a very aggressive marketing campaign, our comeback campaign. We're so excited that people call us and say, I want to make my comeback at Alvernia.
Aww.
So that's been really successful.
That's when you know your marketing's working, right? They're calling up, giving you your marketing campaign back to you. Like really, very genuinely, I say that half jokingly, but like you tapped into that place within them that says, I'm ready. I'm ready to make my comeback. And that's awesome.
All of the staff in our graduate and adult offices have been someone that made their comeback themselves. They've been an adult student, so they really have the mindset of the individual that's coming back as a graduate or an adult student. And it really adds to the culture of care that we have at Alvernia, that wraparound love that the sisters had back in our founding days.
Yes.
Really manifests throughout.
Okay. So I had, I wanted to ask a follow-up question to something you just shared earlier, which I'm going to go there next. But you mentioned culture of care, and I absolutely want to learn more about that because I've often heard that term most in the community college space. I don't hear it as often in the traditional or non-traditional four-year space, if you will. So I want to go there here in a second, but this question is going to sound really obvious, but from a consulting perspective, I often see institutions really struggle to do what you all have done successfully. So when you talked about the partnerships with the employers and being very intentional and building the programs, I know in theory, a lot of institutions try to do that, or maybe they have an articulation agreement or there's a tuition discount. Can you talk about the logistics of how do you develop a program with an employer? And when I say the logistics of it, I mean, did you have a discovery conversation? Did you meet once a quarter? Like talk about the specifics, because that's where institutions struggle. You know, in theory, everybody understands, well, we developed relationships with employers and we had them, you know, it usually stops there. I'll be honest. You know, you like I said, you got the articulation agreement and the tuition discount, but we never really see traction. And it sounds like you all have been successful. Obviously, if they are funding and supporting these labs and these spaces, what would be your best practices around how to do that? Once you've got the relationship or you've had the conversation, how do you actually get to the other side of bringing that to life?
You know, the short answer is listening and acting.
Yeah.
The long answer is that we really were very intentional about forming advisory boards and then really allowing them to help, not design curriculum, but certainly insert their voice into what the needs were for the employers. The faculty design the curriculum, the faculty own the curriculum, but we have these advisory boards who are saying, here's what we need.
Yeah.
You're telling us that through the project work that we do with them. So our students will begin doing projects for these organizations in about their sophomore year.
Okay.
And so we have a longer runway to form relationships with the employers. We have something that we call an apprenticeship to degree program, where some of our employers have said it's been really hard to fill some of these jobs. For example, let's say in accounting. So they want to get access to our students at graduation. We asked them instead to give us projects, real projects, that our students can start to work on beginning in their sophomore year.
Yeah.
They then will build into a longer relationship. They might work for them full-time in the summer based off of this project. Or they might start as a sophomore, work part-time for them at doing more basic jobs. But by the time they're juniors and seniors, they can be doing real work And they can be giving students job offers at the end of their junior year so that they have that pipeline for talent long into the future with us. So
Yeah.
being that partner that says, we know what your needs are, we know you've been struggling here, here's how our students can help build that with the long-term relationship in mind has been really important. I think another piece of it is being really nimble, right? Alvernia has always been nimble in this innovative space. So when employers are saying, we need civil engineering, we're going, okay, let's figure out.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Right. Let's get an advisory board together. Let's talk it through. Let's get our faculty engaged. So I think we've been more open and our boundary has been a lot more permeable than other institutions that might have said, no, this is our programming. This is what we're going to do. And we're only going to do X. We've been really open and added a number of programs in the last 5 years that have really met that workforce need, as well as still being really grounded in our liberal arts traditions.
Yeah.
It's that openness and that, and we get it done.
Right.
Issue, right?
Very well said and simple, but so accurate. Yeah.
They can count on us that we're going to get those projects done for them. We have something we call Project 6. So we ask our employers, give us the 6th thing on your to-do list. You're going to probably get 1 through 5 done on your own, but 6 is probably not going to happen this year, right? As you're going through your New Year's resolutions, we all know 5 will focus on, 6, maybe we don't get done.
Yeah.
Give us your 6. Let us play with it. If we get it done for you, we get amazing workout for you. It was 6. And so, you weren't going to get to it anyway. And
I love that. I've never heard that before.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun for our students. One bank came to us and said, we want to redesign the experience of going to the bank, right? Who goes to the banks anymore?
Yeah.
And here, Project 6, it out to your students. These are going to be their future customers anyway. So have them working with an architect, work with a faculty advisor, and design the branch of the future. And so we've been able to offer that back to the bank. So really innovative projects that involve a lot of different students from a lot of different majors into these projects that they can then go to employers saying they've had these real experiences, not just
Absolutely
with a simulation, but a true project that they can see come to fruition.
Yeah. You mentioned in the last 5 years, you've added quite a few programs from these need-based conversations with the workforce. And I'm sure the answer to this question is every program can be different, but what is your runway from idea to students in class? What's the timeline to do that?
Our faculty are so outstanding that they understand the environment that we're in, and we've been able to get programs from idea to students sitting in the classroom in 9 months, which is unheard of, really, in higher education.
Yeah.
Looking at through faculty governance and truly not just giving them something, but saying, we want to work together to create this new major. But yes, and we did that one during COVID. So
that's so impressive, really.
Yeah. And that's with all the facilities pieces put together as well. So we broke ground in December and we had students in classes in September of that next year. Yeah.
Now, follow up to that, obviously you have relationships with the workforce and these employers that have identified this program would be helpful to have graduate students, what to get to idea to students sitting in the classroom in 9 months. I don't know that anybody has an endless bucket of money to invest in marketing anymore. So how do you not only develop a new program and get students sitting in the classroom where it's sustainable to keep that program going in such a short amount of time?
Sure. So our board, which I would argue is the best board in all of higher education because of their long vision. And so they have always required a 2% budget surplus so that there is money available when these new initiatives come around for us to have some money to do these kinds of initiatives. So So in terms of that comeback campaign I mentioned,
Yeah.
we were able to use that surplus for $750,000 of it to really launch that campaign over.
Got it.
So
Okay.
they've been really, really smart about ensuring that we have a surplus in days when many colleges our size are not in that space.
Very true. Yeah. Okay. So transitioning a little bit back to culture of care. So for those who aren't familiar with that term, because like I said, I've heard it more in the community college, technical college space. Share, an overview of what does culture of care mean, and then what does it mean in the day-to-day?
Are you going to miss Ellucian Live this year?
I don't think so.
Exactly. So you might as well register right now at elive.ellucian.com. Ellucian Live 2025, April 6th through 9th in Orlando, Florida. Do not miss it.
Higher Ed PodCon is coming. Go to higheredpodcon.com. That's higheredpodcon.com to learn more. Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content, invites to special events, and more? Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Do you want to get all this while helping to sustain EdUp? Then go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and become a subscriber today.
Sure. So when our university was founded by the sisters were teaching in the classroom, and the sisters were the administrators, and the sisters were serving in the cafeteria. And so if a student looked like they were struggling or voiced that they were struggling, the sisters could really come in, wrap their arms around them and say, we're going to help you. We're going to get you through this. We care about seeing you succeed. As we grow and as the sisters become less present on campus, we proudly have 3 sisters back on campus. We were one when I started. But we have to rethink how we create that spirit. So as large as we grow, we still feel like Alvernia.
Yeah.
So that's where we came up with this initiative that we're calling SOLAR. And SOLAR stands for Support, Opportunity, Love, Access, and Resources. And I'm not afraid to say love. We care for our students, all of our students, whether they're a traditional college age coming in out of high school or an adult that needs that extra, we got you, that will help them through the experience. So it's about a culture of care. We're really trying to replicate that caring, compassionate, deep support that our sisters started us with, that we will continue every day. And in many ways, it's simple things that seem simple to us, right? We know that a student will leave college because of a $200, what they see as unsurmountable expense. So we have access through a number of employees on campus that if you need $200, here's $200. We want to get you back into the classroom. We want to overcome that barrier for you. But we also have a clothing and career closet so that if a student is getting towards those experiences in the industry, that they feel comfortable going into it. We have a number of first-generation college students who don't have someone at home who has a suit they can borrow. So we have that closet on campus that they can take from. We have a food pantry on campus because we know that sadly students are food insecure in many of our locations. And so we are made sure that those pantries are available, and it's stocked with real food from our cafeteria. So we flash freeze meals that are in the cafeteria. We put them into refrigeration in those cupboards. And so the student can get a hot meal, real hot meal, not mac and cheese or a granola bar, but a real meal. You're hungry, because we know if you're hungry, you can't learn. So we add all of those pieces together and do a lot of training for our faculty and staff, because you're right, this does come out of community colleges, and our staff and faculty need the support for how to have those kinds of conversations. And
you are speaking my language, Glennis. Yes.
So we had a day-long training this week talking about, how do you talk to a college student about don't drop that class, because if you do, it's going to have these implications on your federal financial aid. And, faculty might otherwise say, oh, you're failing, drop out. But how do we help that student succeed with real intensive conversations through our financial planners? And we do have financial planners in our student financial services office that will help that struggling student, but also help that student who's on their way to their first job interview negotiate their first salaries.
Absolutely.
Benefits are important and an important part of the equation as they're considering their first jobs. 25% of our students get jobs within the first 6 months or are on their way to graduate school. So we want to coach them through that piece of it as well.
Did you say 95?
95%, yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I had this great dinner February last year. I had a dinner with 20 of our students that were graduating. 19 of them already had job offers in February, and the 20th was just deciding which one she was going to choose. So it works. We give them really great experiential learning, and then we prepare them really well. But we love them all the way along the way.
Okay, so repeat solar for us again, just so we catch that.
Absolutely. It's support, opportunity, love, access, and resources.
I, no pun intended, love that you said, I have no problem saying love. You wouldn't, I'm preaching to the choir on this. You don't often hear that. I don't know that I've ever heard it. And the mission-driven spirit of what you are bringing forward in today's space and world and how you're doing that, I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but I told you earlier, you're speaking my language. Like, you are really taking care of the whole human being, not just this individual that signed up to go through classes or take a degree program. And I truly believe, and in my consulting work, this is, I do a lot of, what you had just shared, training staff to be able to have those human conversations. That's really what you're doing. You are helping another human being through this stage in their life that they're in. And oh, by the way, we just so happen to be talking about a class that you're struggling with and how that might impact your financial aid, right? And institutions that get this know how to do it and then support their staff with how does that actually look in the day-to-day, in the classroom, on the phone, through the enrollment process, in the community, like genuinely being able to execute that and live what they say they're about is not common. And when institutions can do that, it truly is a differentiator, because you are there to take care of that human being along their educational journey. And I love that you all do that and believe that and bring that to life. Not just have the words or the vision statement or the mission statement, really make that happen in the day-to-day. I'll say thank you. And I know that may sound odd, but thank you for leading that and believing that and taking care of your people on staff within the university so that they can take care of the people in that community. That's very powerful.
Thank you for saying so. Yeah. When a student tells me that their faculty don't just know their names, they know their dreams, I feel like we're getting there, right? Yep. We're there where the students have that experience where faculty and staff are really engaging together on helping them to succeed. That's a really exciting partnership. I think the other piece of it is the traditions that we have in the liberal arts that have allowed our students to learn really high skills jobs, but with the compassion and with the critical thinking that helps them really be good humans along the way. I was with a group for a biomedical conference on Friday, And they were saying, I know an Alvernia student when I see them in a hospital. There's something different about them. Their skills are top notch, but there's something more to them. And I think that really comes from this culture that we have created together, and that tradition that they come to the classroom with.
So we were chatting a little bit before we got started. You're the president of the institution now. Prior to that, provost. Was the culture, I would imagine based off what you're founded on, the answer is yes, but was the culture and the way that it shows up today always there? Was there kind of tweaking and just, was it always there? And if so, how have you continued to be able to bring that forward?
I think it has always, I know it has always been there. It's the spirit and the love of the sisters that has carried it through. I think what might be different in the last couple years coming out of the pandemic is we've been much more deliberative in that. And so, as I said, twice a year, we're putting a day-long service together for community service. Twice a semester, we're taking a day-long for faculty and staff development in solar. So we're really intentionally encouraging people to explore these ideas, think them through, unpack them, practice them. Just last week, we did some case studies with faculty in this. So if a student comes in, what do you really say?
Love that.
We've been much more intentional in the last couple of years to make sure that we're always manifesting what our sisters would have wanted us to do.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't gotten to talk about yet that you think is very important to share about the university, or that you want folks to know?
Yes. So our experiential learning is expanding beyond the items that we've talked about before and going into education. So as a college formed by sisters, one of our first and primary activities was around training teachers. We haven't really put as many efforts into our teacher preparation programs as before. There's a lot of competition in the space. It's, lots of things. But what we have done lately is bring in an institute known as Total Experience Learning. They've moved to Alvernia University over the summer, and they have a methodology that has brought magic back into the classroom. They train teachers how to do what we're talking about in their K through 12 classrooms.
Wow.
And really individualize learning in those K through 12 classrooms, so that the students in those classes are getting that love of learning back that maybe had waned when everyone went home. And how do you bring them all back together again? So Total Experience Learning is training teachers how to treat their classrooms like from a project management perspective. So the teachers love teaching again, the students love learning again, and maybe some of those learners will want to be teachers because they see such a positive role model in their classroom.
Yeah, because of their own experience and the journey that was created for them. Yeah,
that's exactly it. Yes. So we're really excited to have them join us on our campus. It's allowed us to continue this innovative culture that we want to continue to evolve. As I talk a lot about our sisters, but they've always been innovators. They did the very first addictions and mental health program in the country at Alvernia University. They did the first criminal justice program in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So they've always been innovators, and allows us to be innovative in some of the other spaces as well.
Share for me again that first program that you mentioned. You said in the country.
Yes. So when our sisters saw a need for an addictions program, they started in 1977. They started an addictions and mental health program on our campus. And it's been going ever since, and it continues, sadly, to be a real need. But in that, we work together with our community partners at the Karen Foundation or Karen Treatment Centers to meet that need. So this idea of working with our community to meet workforce needs is not
It's always been there. Yeah, it's not new. They were living that value and truly coming from a place of what does our community need? How can we develop and deliver that? And it's simple, right? In theory, in its essence, it's so simple. What are the needs? How can we deliver? And I think we've lost that along the way. Just globally speaking, from a higher ed perspective, I think we know that that's part of our job, but really doing that and assessing the need. I think we're getting back there. I think there's an intentionality to get back there, but how powerful that example that you just shared of this is in our fabric. This is what we were founded on, and we are not only living that today, but you've shared with us several examples of how we're living that and the impact that it's making in the community.
The board has been key to that. The previous presidents have been key to that.
Yeah.
Really keeping that forward. Let's look ahead 10 years. Let's look ahead 20 years. What's the change that we need to do today so that we're going to meet that need?
Yeah.
That's when they added the healthcare programs. That's when they added adult learning. They saw that was coming. And so the board and the presidents really moved with that innovative spirit of our foundresses, adding things as they needed to and as they should, depending on what they saw and what they forecast coming. So it's prepared us really, really well.
I genuinely feel lucky that I got a chance to talk with you this morning and hear this story. I mean, it really is. I'm drawing a loss for words, but it really is incredible, the work that you're doing and what it's built on. And that everyone, as you said, who's been in these key leadership roles, and obviously everyone within the institution, but the leadership really wanting and making an effort to live that and continue that forward.
That's right. We have a great senior leadership team here that executes on that. As I said before, our faculty have been very open to being nimble and helping to move ideas forward, bringing their own ideas forward. We have a culture where, whoever has the idea, it's a great idea. Let's move it forward. So
yeah,
great ideas can come from anywhere, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely 100%. I believe that. Well, my last question for you would be, so I'm going to ask it, but I also want you to feel free if there's anything additional that is part of the Alvernia University story to also share that. So my last question for you is, what words of wisdom, and it can be anything, but any words of wisdom that you would pass along to folks who are listening to this podcast that could be beneficial for them or sharing with their teams or anything. Words of wisdom from Glynis Fitzgerald.
Ellucian Live is taking place April 6th through 9th, 2025 in Orlando, Florida.
You just made the list!
Get ready for an unforgettable experience at Ellucian Live 2025. Join visionary leaders from institutions worldwide as we dive into groundbreaking ideas, cutting-edge solutions, and transformative best practices that will ignite your passion for innovation. This is your chance to connect, collaborate, and propel your institution into the future. Do not miss out.
Let's go!
Did you buy your tickets yet? Higher Education's first podcast conference is coming July 12th. Go to higheredpodcon.com, higheredpodcon.com. Get your tickets. Do you want to accelerate your professional development? Do you want to get exclusive early access to ad-free episodes, extended episodes, bonus episodes, original content? That's right, original content, invites to special events, and more? Do you want to get all this while helping to sustain EdUp? Then go to edupexperience.com. That's EDUP experience.com and subscribe today.
Thank you. Yeah, I would think that it's really important that those of us that are in, especially independent higher ed, but probably other types of higher education, to not let the dialogue that's in the mainstream media right now continue, right? There are really special colleges like Alvernia, but like so many of the others that you profiled, Marywood a couple of weeks ago, right? They're doing really, really great work. And I think that gets lost in this dialogue about how nobody needs higher ed anymore and you don't need all the negativity. So we need to keep telling our story and loudly and proudly sharing the success stories of our students. Higher education is transformative. It does allow a family to move forward socioeconomically. It allows a community to continue to grow and blossom in new and different ways. Reading is now the fourth largest city in the Commonwealth. And so, and we have 175,000 square feet of under renovation because Alvernia is in the city, because of other really exciting things happening in our city. So we need to talk more about how independent higher ed is just not all this one, we're not all that one college that people want to point to, right? There's so much difference in independent higher ed, and there's so much value that comes from independent higher ed and higher ed in general that allows our students and our communities to grow. And we have to keep proudly telling that story because we need to tell it 6 times for everyone that,
Absolutely.
out there. Right?
Absolutely. Continue to tell the story. Yes. And be proud of the work that's being done.
Absolutely. I'll also say that we'll continue to grow. And so, look out.
Yeah, there you go.
Stories about Alvernia. We're proudly growing. We're proudly building these college town initiatives and look for more opportunities to reach students truly where they are and help people have their comeback.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your time this morning. Everyone, Dr. Glennis Fitzgerald, president of Alvernia University, Reading, Pennsylvania. It was a pleasure to chat with you, and thank you for sharing with us the Alvernia University story. I am enlightened and also inspired. So
thank you so much for the conversation.
Yeah. Of course, of course. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Ed Up Experience podcast, the President Series. I am your guest host, Dr. Jody Blinko. Of course, thank you to our guest here today. And we will be back again soon with another enlightening piece to share with our higher ed community. Thank you all. Until then.